Blog Talk Radio.
And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room. They went up into an upper room.
In the Christian tradition, based on Acts 1:13, the upper room was said to be the site of the Last Supper, i.e., the cenacle. But it was not the upper room found in Mark 14:15, and Luke 22:12 is the site of the Last Supper. However, the upper room in Zion, Acts 1:13, located on Mount Zion in the city of David, was the usual place where the apostles of Adonai Baruch stayed in Jerusalem. And according to the Rastafari Encyclopedia, based upon Acts 2:42, as it is written, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship and breaking of bread and in prayers. It was thus the first church of the Nazarene, our black master and savior, Jesus Christ, and said by many to be the first Christian church.
Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James. These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women and Mary the mother of Jesus, and with his brethren. they were come in, they went up into an upper room. They went up into an upper room.
Shem Ha'av Wa'Habein Ruach HaKadosh. Glory be to the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Glory be. Glory be. We're going to ride up here for this portion.
Upper Room of Zion, the podcast right here, Torah Thursday.
Sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong. And here. Here, Shema, give ear. Here for the fifth Aliyah, the Hamishi, the Hamishi Aliyah, offering up Anaphora for this Shabbat Bamidbar, Senbet Midre Beda, the order of the host. Here at the fifth Aliyah, the Hamishi Aliyah, is the fifth item. The families of the Levites of Levi, of Levi. וידבר יהוה אל משה במדבר סיני לאמור. Verse 14, and the Yahweh Jehovah spake to Moshe in the Midbar, the wilderness of Sinai Lamor, saying, number the Benai Lewi, the sons, the children of Levi, after the house, the bait of their fathers, patriarchs, by their families, every zakar, every male, from a month old and upward, shalt thou number them. And Moshe number them according to the word of Yod-Heh, Weh-Heh, He who be, who he be, as he was commanded. And these were the sons of Levi, by their names, by their shemot, Gershon and Kohat and Merari. And these are the Shemot, the names of the Benai Gershon, the sons of Gershon, by their families, Libni and Shimei. And the sons of Kohat by their families, Amram and Izahar and Hebron and Uzziah. And the Benai Merari, the sons of Merari, by their families, Mahli and Mushi. These are the families of Halloween, the Lewawian, the Levites, according to the Beit, the house of their fathers, patriarchs. Of Gershon was the family of the Libnites, and the family of the Shemites. These are the families of the Gershonites, those that were numbered of them according to the number of all the males, from a month old and upward, even those that were numbered of them were 7,500. The families of the Gershonites shall pitch behind the tabernacle westward. And the chief of the Beit, the house of the father Ha'ab of the Gershonites, shall be Eli Asaph, the son of Lael. The order of the host, the Tzevaot, sixth item, the charge of the Benai Lewi, the sons of Levi, verse 25. And the charge of the Benai Gershon, the sons of Gershon, in the tabernacle of the congregation aggregation shall be the tabernacle and the tent, the covering thereof, and the hanging for the door, the patach of the tabernacle of the congregation, the tent of meeting, the ohel moed, and the hangings of the court, and the curtain for the patach, the door of the court, which is by the tabernacle, and by the altar mizbeach round about, and the cords of it for all the badot, the service thereof. And of Kohat was the family of the Amramites, and the family of the Ezaharites, and the family of the Hebronites, and the family of the Uzzielites. These are the families of the Kohatites. In the number of all the males of Zakar from a month old and upward were 8,600, keeping the charge of the sanctuary. The families of the sons of Kohat shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle southward, and the chief of the house, the Beit of the Ha'ab, the father of the families of the Kohatites, shall be Elizaphan, the son of Uzziel. and their charge shall be the ark, the tabot, the aron, and the table, and the menorah, the lampstand, and the altars, and the vessels of the sanctuary wherewith they minister, they serve, and the hanging and all the service thereof. And Eleazar, the son of Aaron, HaKohen, the priest, shall be chief over the chief of the Lewim, the Levites, and have the oversight of them that keep the charge of the sanctuary. Of Merari was the family of the Mahalites, and the family of the Mushites. These are the families of Merari. And those that were numbered of them according to the number of all the males of Zakar from a month old and upward were 6,200. And the chief of the house of the the father of the families of Merari, was Zuriel, the son of Abichail. These shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle northward, and under the custody and charge of the B'nai Merari, the sons of Merari, shall be the boards of the tabernacle, and the bars thereof, and the pillars thereof, and the sockets thereof, and all the vessels thereof, and all that service thereto, and the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cords. But those that encamp before the tabernacle toward the east, even before the tabernacle of the congregation, the tent of meeting eastward, shall be Moshe, Moses, and Aharon, and Aaron, and Benaiah, Lejochu, his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the Benai Yisrael, the sons, the children of Israel, and the stranger that cometh near shall be put to death. All that were numbered of Halawim, the Levites, the Lewawian, which Moshe and Aharon numbered at the commandment of Yahweh, of Jehovah, throughout their families, all the Zakar, the males, from a month old and upward, were 22,000. And right here for the Sheishi Aliyah, for this Shabbat Bamidbar, Sendet Midre Bada, the Sheishi Aliyah, the 6th Aliyah offering up. Why Yomeri Yawa Illa Moshe. Oda Kola Bekora Zakara Libneya Yisraela Mia Ben Chodesha Wa Ma'illa Wisa Eta Mispara Shimotam. Here for the Sheshi Aliyah, the order of the host, the 7th item, the firstborn, redeem, reference Exodus 38 and 27. Here, 4th book of Moshe, Hebrew book, Numbers chapter 3 at verse 40 for the Sheshi, the 6th Aliyah. And the Yahweh, he who be, said to Moses, number all the firstborn of the males, the Zakar of the B'nai Yisrael, from a month old and upward, and take the number of their Shemot, of their names. And thou, the I, shall take Halawim, the Levites, for me, for I, Ani Yahweh, I be he who be, instead of all the firstborn among the B'nai Yisrael, the sons of Yisrael, the children of Israel, and the cattle of Halawim, the Levites, instead of all the firstlings among the cattle of the B'nai Yisrael. And Moshe numbered, as Yahweh commanded him, all the firstborn among the B'nai Yisrael, and all the firstborn males by the number of names, Shemot, from a month old and upward, of those that were numbered of them, were 22,213. And Yahweh spake to Moshe Lemor, saying, take the Lewim, Halawim, instead of all the firstborn among the B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel, and the cattle of Halawim, the Levites, instead of their cattle. And Halawim, the Levites, shall be mine. Ani Yahweh, I be he who be. And for those that are to be redeemed of the 213 of the firstborn of the B'nai Yisrael, which are more than Halawim, the Lewawian, the Levites, thou, the I, shalt even take 5 shekels a piece by the pole, Gugulot, by the skull. After the shekel of the sanctuary shalt thou, the I, take them. The shekel, ha-shekel, is 20 gerahs, and thou, the I, shall give the kesef, give the money, wherewith the odd number of them is to be redeemed, to Aharon Ulebenayo and his sons. And Moshe took the redemption money of them that were over and above them that were redeemed by Lewim, by the Levites. Of the first one of the B'nai Yisrael, the sons of children of Israel, took he the money, 1,365 shekels, after HaShekel, the shekel of the sanctuary. And Moshe gave the money of them that were redeemed to Aharon ulebenayo and his sons, according to the word of Yahweh of Jehovah, as the Yahweh commanded Moshe. Sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong.
These are those that were numbered, which Moses and Aaron numbered, and the princes of Israel, being 12 men. Each one was for the house of his fathers. Each one was for the house of his fathers, 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 for the house of his fathers. So were all those that were numbered of the children of Israel by the house of their fathers from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war in Israel, 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 with all that were able to go forth to war and go forth to war in Israel, forth to war in Israel, forth to war in Israel, with all that were able to go forth to war and go forth to war in Israel, 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 war in Israel. Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes.
From the upper room is beyond, what they beyond, distinguishing the light seekers from the peon. Ra, say Adonis, lay upon us knowledge that is eons old. Has it been told since the days of old? And I sit watching the story unfold. Yeshua gave us the code, gave us the name, kept the Maui Haile Selassie, the first will reign, to open the book of the seven seals. It's time for the gathering. It's the latter and no, not the Vatican. Christ in his kingly character, we on that again. I'ma keep speaking the scriptures until I'm out of wind. Built on the true foundation, there's no shaking. There's no need of you hating, stop hesitating. How many of you have been waiting? In the upper room, we meeting in the upper room of Zion.
These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women and Mary the mother of Jesus and with his brethren. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room. They went up into an upper room. The upper room. The upper room. Psalm 81.
מזמור פ/א למנצח על הגיתית לאסף.
Sing aloud unto God our strength.
עוזנו, הרנינו לאלוהים עוזנו.
Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob.
לאלוהי יעקב, הריעו לאלוהי יעקב.
Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed his shoulder from the burden. His hands were delivered from the pots. Thou calledst in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in the secret place of thunder. I proved thee at the waters of Meribah. Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee. O Israel, if thou wilt hearken unto me. There shall no strange God be in thee, neither shalt thou worship any strange God. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. But my people would not hearken to my voice, and Israel would none of me. So I gave them up unto their own heart's lust, and they walked in their own counsels. Oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Israel had walked in my ways. I should soon have subdued their enemies, and turned my hand against their adversaries. The haters of the Lord should have submitted themselves unto him. Their time should have endured forever. He should have fed them also with the finest of the wheat. With honey out of the rock should I have satisfied, 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 I have satisfied.
מזמור פ"א למנצח על הגיתית לאסף. הרנינו לאלוהים עוזנו, הריעו לאלוהי יעקב. שאו זמרה ותנו תוף, כינור נעים עם נבל. תקעו בחודש שופר, בכסה ליום חגנו. כי חוק לישראל הוא, משפט לאלוהי יעקב. עדות בהוסף שמו, בצאתו על ארץ מצרים, שפת לא ידעתי אשמע. הסירותי מצבל שכמו, כפיו מדוד תעבורנה. בצרה קראת ואכלתך, אענך בסתר רעם, אבחונך על מי מריבה סלע. שמע עמי ואעידה בך, ישראל אם תשמע לי, לא יהיה בך אל זר, ולא תשתחווה לאל נכר. אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך, המעלך מארץ מצרים, ארחב פיך ואמלאהו. ולא שמע עמי לקולי, וישראל לא אבה לי. ואשלחהו בשרירות ליבם, ילכו במועצותיהם. לו עמי שומע לי, ישראל בדרכי יהלכו, כמעט אויביהם אכניע, ועל צריהם אשיב ידי. משנאי אדוני יכחשו לו, ויהי איתם לעולם. ויאכילהו מחלב חיטה, ומצור דבש אשביעך, 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 אשביעך,
Evening Psalm for the fifth day, called Thursday here in the Upper Room of Zion Podcast. Torah Thursdays right here. Today's daily Psalm, according to the royal order for this day right here, is Psalm 40 here for the May 18th, 2023. Psalm 40. Give ear, give ear, give ear. Here we have today's daily psalm. We have
Psalm 40. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. Blessed is that man that maketh the Lord his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Many, O Lord my God, are thy wonderful works which thou hast done, and thy thoughts which are to usward. They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened, burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required. Then said I, Lo, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me, I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips, O Lord, thou knowest. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. For innumerable evils have compassed me about. Mine iniquities have taken hold upon me, so that I am not able to look up. They are more than the hairs of mine head. Therefore my heart faileth me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let them be ashamed and confounded together that seek after my soul to destroy it. Let them be driven backward and put to shame that wish me evil. Let them be desolate for a reward of their shame, that say unto me, Aha, aha. Let all those that seek thee rejoice and be glad in thee. Let such as love thy salvation say continually, The Lord be magnified. But I am poor and needy, yet the Lord thinketh upon me. Thou art my help and my deliverer. Make no tarrying, O my God, 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 O my God. I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited patiently for the Lord, for the Lord. I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited patiently for the Lord, for the Lord. I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited patiently for the Lord, for the Lord. Psalm 40. I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited patiently for the Lord, for the Lord. I waited patiently, patiently, patiently. I waited patiently, patiently, patiently. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. Blessed is that man that maketh the Lord his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Many, O Lord my God, are thy wonderful works which thou hast done, and thy thoughts which are to usward. They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened. Burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required. Then said I, Lo, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me, I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips, O Lord, thou knowest. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. For innumerable evils have compassed me about. Mine iniquities have taken hold upon me, so that I am not able to look up. They are more than the hairs of mine head. Therefore my heart faileth me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let them be ashamed and confounded together that seek after my soul to destroy it. Let them be driven backward and put to shame that wish me evil. Let them be desolate for a reward of their shame that say unto me, Aha, aha. Let all those that seek thee rejoice and be glad in thee. Let such as love thy salvation say continually, The Lord be magnified. But I am poor and needy, yet the Lord thinketh upon me. Thou art my help and my deliverer. Make no tarrying, O my God, 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 O my God. I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited patiently for the Lord, for the Lord. I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited patiently for the Lord, for the Lord. I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited, I waited patiently for the Lord, 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 for the Lord.
Although it's about 7, I'm feeling so wise like I'm in heaven, you know. But Iman says, the name of Allah thy God is vain. If you do, brothers and sisters, it might cause you pure pain. That would ain't that one. As we gather round some of the daughters, shall we still know that Jah love you so you got to be able to work so you can sit up in the kitchen time to make you feel so fine. Dash rain, falls, wine, and people down the line. You know, start down for a while. While about the process, I'll tell you one, it shall be the sound of we have no choice, so we got to go forward. Forward, never I love you forever. So we travel around the world and we don't run until it's through you, girl. Until daddy comes down with me. Give all the corner, then we tell it to wine. Someone like the challenge, she got us pure silence. We walk down the alley, singing, then we travel down the valley. God love us all, whether we great or small. And before one of God's word pass away, but no shall pass away. As we got to swing and swing for it's beyond the one today. Stand on the valley, see you got to officially. Or rock it down the valley when you see officially. See you on the corner when you really, really dally. Sat around the corner and we check the system alley. Don't you go babe. It's funny, so me saying I got to move on down the lane. Move on down the street and kinda cool off the heat. Now rocking away down to this rockers beat. They kinda burn up the shower, kinda cool off the heat. Why got it? Got it. I said we got it, right down there. I said we got it. I said we got it, right in there in the radio law. Love you for what you are, but for what you made of me. Because I love you, so I'll continually. I love you for not what you are, but you stop with your over, come on, make me cover, you over, tell me time. If you got the sign and if you got the
Teach me, teacher. Each high and I am a teacher.
Bring forth the Bible.
መዝሙር 39 በቅንፍ 40 ለመዘምራን አለቃ የዳዊት መዝሙር። ቆይቼ እግዚአብሔርን ደጅ ጠናሁት፣ እርሱም ዘንበል አለልኝ፣ ጩኸቴንም ሰማ። ከጥፋት ጉድጓድ ከረግረግም ጭቃ አወጣኝ፣ እግሮቼንም በድንጋይ ላይ አቆማቸው፣ አረማመዴንም አጸና። አዲስ ዝማሬን ለአምላካችን ምስጋና ባፌ ጨመረ። ብዙዎች ያያሉ ይፈሩማል በእግዚአብሔር።
Bring forth the Bible.
መዝሙር 39 በቅንፍ 40 ለመዘምራን አለቃ የዳዊት መዝሙር። ቆይቼ እግዚአብሔርን ደጅ ጠናሁት፣ እርሱም ዘንበል አለልኝ፣ ጩኸቴንም ሰማ። ከጥፋት ጉድጓድ ከረግረግም ጭቃ አወጣኝ፣ እግሮቼንም በድንጋይ ላይ አቆማቸው፣ አረማመዴንም አጸና። አዲስ ዝማሬን ለአምላካችን ምስጋና ባፌ ጨመረ። ብዙዎች ያያሉ ይፈሩማል በእግዚአብሔርም ይታመናል። እግዚአብሔርን የታመነ ወደ ትዕቢተኛና ወደ ሐሰተኛ ያልተመለከተ ሰው ምስጉን ነው። አቤቱ አምላኬ ያደረግከው ታምራት ብዙ ነው። ሐሳብህንም ምንም የሚመስለው የለም ባወራው ብናገረውም ከቁጥር ሁሉ በዛ መስዋዕትንና ቁርባንን አልወደድህም ስጋን አዘጋጀህልኝ የሚቃጠለውንና ስለ ኃጢአት የሚቀርበውን መስዋዕት አልሻህም በዚያን ጊዜ አሉ እነሆ መጣ ስለኔ በመጽሐፍ ራስ ተጽፏል አምላኬ ሆይ ፈቃድህን ለማድረግ ወደድኩ ሕግህም በልቤ ውስጥ በታላቅ ጉባኤ ጽድቅን አወራሁ እነሆ ከንፈሮቼን አልከለክልም አቤቱ አንተ ጽድቄን ታውቃለህ እውነትህንም በልቤ ውስጥ አልሰወርኩም ማዳንህንም ተናገርኩ ምሕረትህንና እውነትህን ከታላቅ ጉባኤ አልሰወርኩም አቤቱ አንተ ምሕረትህን ከኔ አታርቅ ቸርነትህና እውነትህ ዘወትር ይጠብቁኝ ቁጥር የሌላት ክፋት አግኝታኛለችና ኃጢአቶቼ ያዙኝ ማየትም ተስኖኛል ከራሴ ጠጉር ይልቅ በዙ ልቤም ተወኝ አቤቱ ታድነኝ ዘንድ ፍቀድ አቤቱ እኔን ለመርዳት ፍቀድ ነፍሴን ለማጥፋት የሚወዱ ይፈሩ በአንድነትም ይጎስቁሉ በእኔ ላይ ክፋትን ሊያደርጉ የሚወዱ ወደ ኋላቸው ይመለሱ ይጎስቁሉም እሰይ እሰይ የሚሉኝ እፍረታቸውን ወዲያው ይከፈሉ አቤቱ የሚፈልጉ ሁሉ ባንተ ደስ ይበላቸው ሐሴትም ያድርጉ ሁል ጊዜ ማዳንህን የሚወዱ ዘወትር እግዚአብሔር ታላቅ ይሁን ይበሉ እኔ ችግረኛና ምስኪን ጌታ ግን ያስበኛል አንተ ረዳቴና መድኃኒቴ ነህ አምላኬ ሆይ አትዘግይ
Psalm 40. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. Blessed is that man that maketh the Lord his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Many, O Lord my God, are thy wonderful works which thou hast done, and thy thoughts which are to usward. They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened. Burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required. Then said I, Lo, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me, I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips, O Lord, thou knowest. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Lord, that thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me.
Legashun, Agarashun, Memelech, Memelegashun, Zemgashme, Ethiopia Menage, you know. But we want the next verse with Amaric.
Bring forth the Bible, bring forth the Bible, bring forth the Bible, bring forth.
Salamta, today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, and here after the order of Melchizedek and Tzedek, the righteous king, Garmawi, Kedamawi, Haile Selassie, and here in the book of the seven seals, the Metzhaf Kedus, here we are in the Mezmore Dawid, the psalm of David, according to the royal order, the Metzhaf Kedus, the book of the seven seals of Garmawi, Kedamawi, Haile Selassie. Here we're going to compare and contrast side by side the HSV, the Haile Selassie version, with the KJV, today's daily psalm, Psalm 40, Mezmor Dawid, Arba, Mezmor Arba, the 40th Psalm, Psalm XL. And here we have in the XL, the 40th Psalm, Messianic Psalm, speaking of Meshihu Yes, speaking of the King of Kings Christ, Exyabiher's servant, Jehovah's servant, obedient to death. The psalm begins with the joys of Christos, of Christ, in resurrection in verses 1 and 2. He has been in the horrible pit of the grave, but has been brought up. Verses 3 to 5 are his resurrection testimony, and the new song, the Adis Zamare, the new chant. Verses 6 to 7 is a retrospective, looking in the rear view, so to speak, when sacrifice and offering had become abominable because of the ratchetness, the ratchetness of Jah people, of the people. We have Isaiah chapter 1, verses 10 to 15. Then the obedient servant came to make the pure offering. And here we have the second part of today's daily psalm. Today's daily psalm, the 40th Psalm, Mezmor Arba, from the Mezmor Dawid, the chant, the vocal intonation, praises, the a cappella, so to speak, praises, Isis. Here we have verses 7 to 17, the obedient servant, speaking of Messiah. As this is a messianic psalm, today's daily psalm, coming to make and to bring the pure offering in verses 7 to 17, the epistle to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verses 5 to 17, also a point of reference for the Talmudim, the Dek Mezamorit, and today's daily psalm, Mezmor Dawid, Arba, Mezmor Arba, which is saying, Miskanana, Redata, Yerdata, Limena, Selot. A prayer. First of all, we have praise, miskana, praise and prayer. Praise and prayer. The psalmist and I here combines a song of thanksgiving of miskana, a miskana mezmor, for a recent act of the divine deliverance, verses 1 to 11, with the confident, petition, the limina, the petition to ask for renewed divine intervention, particularly in the second part of today's daily psalm, verses 12 to 17, which overlaps the obedient servant, as we look at this psalm as a messianic psalm, as Dawid, Negus Dawid, right, Ha-Melech, as David was a man after Gita, after Adonai's own heart. So here, today's daily psalm, Beshama'av, Wewelid, Wamenfesik, Kedus, Ahadu, Amlak, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one source, in Jemralen. Once again, the theme, Miskana, Na, and praise, Miskana of thanks, Miskana Na, and Yerdata, Redata, Erdata, help, Limena, and ask for help. So it is both a prayer of thanksgiving and also a petition of help. And there's a point of reference with today's daily psalm in Mezmor Seba, right? We have the 70th Psalm, verses 1 to 5. But here, let's pick up the superscription to today's daily psalm. Le mezemran aleka, Dawid mezmor. Le mezemran, the chanters, the intercessors, the chanters, the musician, mezemran, those who give the mezmor, the aleka, the chief musician, Dawid of David, mezmor, a chant, a psalm, a vocal intonation of David. Kuter Ant, verse 1. Koiche, Kaziavi Haradejet Enahut, Arsum, Zenbella Leling, Chuhete Nimasamani. I waited patiently. Koiche. I waited patiently for Egaziaviher, for the sustainer of the good, the generous, the open-handed Father. Koiche, Egaziaviher, Dej, and out. Now here in the Royal Amharic we have the phrase Dej, the door, and out. It's like standing at the door, waiting at the door. Koiche, corresponding even to the Hebraic Kao, Kawiti. In the Hebrew say Kawo Kawiti. Here we have Koiche. I waiting Egazia, the sustainer, the good, the generous, Dej and out. Waiting at the door. Here we have the symbol of the tabernacle, the Debtara, the tent of meeting, and the holy place, the Mekdes and the Beit Mekdes, and waiting at that door. Koiche, Egaziavi Her, Dej and out. Arsumas and the Bella, Alelin, Chuhetenima Semain. And he heard and he inclined to and he heard my cry. Arsu, and he, and he himself, Zenbel Alalin, he inclined to Chuhetenim, and my chuhet, my shout, Samanye, he heard my shout to him as I waited at the door. Kutel Hulet, verse 2. Katfat Gudguad, Karega Regima, Chikawat Ein, Igroche Nema, Bedin Gailaya Comacho, Aramam Medenema Tsena. He brought I up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. Kat ifata gudguad, from the pit of destruction, from destruction pit. Kat ifat gudguad, karega regima chikawat ang, and from the miry clay, the miry chika, karega regima chika awat ang, he brought I up and out, Igrochenim, and my feet, Bedingai upon the dingai, upon the rock, Akomacho. He caused them to stand, set my feet, caused them to stand, firm, flat-footed, to stand upon the dingai, upon the rock, Aremam Medenim, Atsena, and my goings, my steps, Aremam Mede, my steps are Remam Medenim, and my steps Atzena. He made them firm. Kuter Source, verse 3. Adi Sazemaren, Lamlakachin, Miskana, Beafea Chemre, Bizuocha Yayalu, Yeferumar, Beegiziabi Harima, Yitamenalu. And he hath put a new song in Adis, Zemare. We have Zemare, Mezmur, Zemre, the chant. He put a new chant, a new song in Adis Zemaren, Le Amlakachin, for our source. Le amlakachin miskana, thanks and praise. Eyes is miskana. Be'afe, in my mouth, in my af mouth, afe, my mouth. Be'afe, in thy mouth, chemere. He added a new miskana. A new chant for I source, and miskana, and praises the afe chemere, and added praises in I mouth. Bizuoch, nuf, bizuoch, nuf ones, yayalu, shall see, sing, yiferumal, and respect and fear and reverence, be'egaziali harima yitamenalu, and in the sustainer of the good, the generous, open-handed, our Father yitamenalu, they will trust, amen, will have faith and trust in the sustainer. Kuter Arat, verse 4. Egziavi harin, yetamene, ore ibitenyana, ore hasetenya, yaltemelekate, so miskunno, blessed, praiseworthy, or blessed. In the Hebrew, that blesses the Ashrei HaGever. That blesses that man, blesses the man. Here we have Egziavi harin yetamene. In Egziavi, in the sustainer, yetamene, one who is tamen, aras tamen, one who has faith and trust, wode t'ibitenyana, to the proud, wode hasetenya, and to the liars, yalla temelekate, one who does not pay attention to the proud or the liars, so the man, the human being, the man who doesn't pay attention to the proud, and what hasetenya, and to the liars. So the man who doesn't pay attention to them, miskun, Miskun corresponding in the royal Amharic in the Lisana Negus in the Gesa, Lashon of Hamelech in the pure, the new, and the pure, refined language, word, sound, and power in the Book of the Seven Seals. We have Miskunno, Miskunno, as we have in the first Psalm corresponding to the Hebraic Ashrei, happy, but in this context is praiseworthy, worthy of praise. One who trusts, who amens, has faith in the Gziav, to the proud, and what hasetenya, and to the liars, one who doesn't pay attention, miskunno. Happy, praiseworthy is that man that maketh the sustainer his trust, and respecteth not, pays not attention to the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Kuter Amist, verse 5. Avetu Hamlaki, Yadaragaho, Tamarata, Bizunno, Asabihinema, Minam Yami Meslo Yelle, Bawarama, Benagarima, Kakutera, Hulu Beza, many, many. Oh, Lord, my God, Abetu, my father's father, father of the house, Amlaki, my source, my father, my source, many, my father, my source, are thy wonderful, wondrous, marvelous works, which thou, the eye, hast done, Abetu, Amlaki, Yadarek, Dahot, Amarat, Bizu, many there are, and thy thoughts, which are to us word, to I and I word, Asabihinima, Minima, Yamimeslo, and your thoughts, your thinking, your consideration, your measure for measure, your thoughts, your reckoning, your calculation, minim, anything, nothing, yamimeslo, to resemble yellem, there's nothing that can resemble them. Bawaram, and if I were to declare, it says they cannot be reckoned up in order to the eye. If I would declare, Bawara, if I were to news them, to declare them, Bawaram, and if I were to declare them, Benagarim, and speak of them, Benagarim, and tell of them, Kakuter, Hulu Beza, from all number, Kakuter, Hulu Beza. They are more, they are enough more. They increase, they are much more, they are more than can be numbered. Kutar Sidis, verse 6. Meswa itinna qurbanin ala wadadhim. Sigana zagajahiling, Yamiak atalawinna silhat yata, Yamiak qarbawina meswaita ala shahim. Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Meswa'it qurbanin ala wadadhim. The meswa'it, sacrifice, meswa'it and qurban, the offering. Ala wadadhim, the eye did not wadada it, the eye did not desire, love it, Sigana zagajahiling. Now here's where we have the New Covenant correspondence of this, and a compare and a contrast with the HSC Haile Selassie version and the Septuagint. We'll show this here also as we look in the Hebrews, the Epistle to the Hebrews. Here in the KJV it reads, sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened, but here we have Sigan, flesh, as a God jahling, you have prepared for I flesh or a body. You have prepared for I and I a body. Now the correspondence with mine ears is very, very interesting. A little bit more of a study, mark that. As Amorit, fellow disciples, Talmudim. Here the KJV has mine ears hast thou opened. Here we have in the HSV, Sigan as a gajahilim, a body that I has prepared for I. And a body hast thou prepared. Thou hast prepared. Hebrews chapter 10, verses 5 to 7, point of reference. Going on, it says, burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required. That which is burnt, the burnt offering, like the ola offering, and sila concerning chatiat, the sin, the lack, the akri offering, and concerning akri, that which is to be presented, the sacrifice to be presented concerning the chatiat, the sin, the akri, the lack offering, al-shahim. The eye did not shah it. The eye did not require it. Al-shahim, kutar sabat, verse 7. Bezian gizeh alhu. Eneho metao, Silene bemetzhaf rasa tetzfoal. Then said I, Bezian Gize, in that time, Bezian Gize, in that time, Alhu, I said, Bezian Gize Alu. Eneho, look, see, here it is, lo, look, metao, metao, I come. Sila ine, concerning I, the mitzhaf ras, in the book, the head, in the head of the book, in the book, ras, tetzfoal, it is written of the ras. Then said I, lo, I come. In the volume of the book, it is written of I, it is written of me, Bezian Gizealu, Neho Metao, Silene Bemetzhaf ras, tetzfoal, Kutar Cement, verse 8. Amlaki hui, Fekadehina le madrega wadedahu, Higehima belibe wistno. I delight to do thy will. Oh my God, oh my source, Amlaki hui, oh my source, Fekadehin, Fekadeh. The I male will, Fekadihin, the I's male will, Madrega Wadedahu. I've loved to do thy will, Fekadihin, Madrega Wadedahu. Higgahim and the I male law, Higgahim and the I law, Libe, my heart, Libe wistno. In my heart it is. Kutar Zeteng, verse 9. Betalak aguvaye sidkina warao. Eneho kenforoche ala kalakalim abituantes sidkina taukale. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation, in the great aggregation. Betalak aguvaye, in the great assembly, congregation, aggregation. Betalak aguvaye sidkina warao. Awarahu. Siddiq, righteousness, awarahu. I have proclaimed, I've newsed it, almost in the evangelical kind of sense, as the good news, I've newsed it, awarahu. Here, KJV says, I preach righteousness in the great congregation. Betalak aguvaye sidqin awarahu. Oh, lo, look, see, here it is. Ken farochin ala kalakalim. I have not refrained, kenfaroche, my lips, kenfaroche, alakalim. I have not refrained my lips, abe to my father, his father, father's house. Ante, the I, speaking to he who be directly. Ante, sidkena tauk ale. The I, and none else but the I, male, sidke, my righteousness, my innocency, sidkena tauk ale, the I self knowest. Kutar Aser, verse 10. Unetihinima belbe wista ala sawarahum, madanihinima tenagaruhu. Mihiretihinna unetihinna katalat aguvaye ala sawarahum. I have not hid the I righteousness within my heart. Ounetihinim, the I's truth, the I's ounet, ounetih, the I male truth, ounetihinim, and the I's male truth, be-libe, in my heart, be-libe, within my heart, ala sawarhum, I have not hidden. I have not hidden in thine heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. Madanihinim tenagaruhu. Here it says Madan, the eyes Madan, the eye salvation, Madanih, the eyes male salvation, medicine, Madanihinim, and the eye salvation, tenagaruhu. I have told, I spake. I have not concealed, I have not hidden again. I have not hidden, I have not concealed thy loving kindness, mehiret, speaking to he who be directly. I have not hidden or concealed the eye's mercy, the eye's loving kindness, mehiretihinna, and eunetih, the eye's objective reality, the eye's truth, eunetih, the eye's truth, katalak guvai, great assembly, alasawarhum, kutar asara'and, verse 11, abetu, hante mehiretihinna kaenne atark. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from I, Abitu, I father, his father, O Ab of the Beit, Abitu, Ante, the I male, the I self, and none other, Mehiretihin, the I's Mehiretihin, Kaine, Ka, from Ine, from I, Atarik, do not make it far, do not keep it far, do not make it far, don't make the I's mercy far from I, Chernetih, the eyes open-handed generosity, charneta, charnetih, the eyes male loving kindness, and unetih, the eyes truth, the eyes objective reality, zawetir, continually, all the time, always, continually preserve, continually keep, continually guard, Asra Hulet, verse 12. Kuter yelelata kafata gina tanya lechna khatiato che yazun mayetema tesnonya karaset agur yelika bezu lebe matawen, for innumerable evils have compassed me, I about. Mine iniquities have taken hold upon I, so that I am not able to look up. They are more than the hairs of my ras, my head. Therefore my heart faileth me. So here, at this point in the psalm, is the prayer part. The first verses up to verse 11, up to Kutar Asara, and we're more the Miskana portion. Here we have Yerdata Limana Selot. Here we have the prayer for, and the petition, the prayerful petition for help and assistance here in Kutar Asara Hulet. Kutar Yelelata Kafata Gina Tanya Lechna. Without number, Kutar Yelelat. She which has not number, Kafat, evil. She evil which has not number, Agina Tanya Lechna. She has found I. Evil that does not have number, Kafat, Kutar Yelelata Kafat. Evil without number, Agina Tanya Lechna, she has found I. Chatiatoche Yazuni, Chatiatoche, and my Chatiat, my sins, Yazun, they have seized I, they have taken hold on I. KJV has mine iniquities have taken hold upon I. Now it's interesting, usually Chatiat, sin, is usually singular in the Royal Amharic scripts to refer to the sin nature, but here it's more in the Hebraic and in the Torah sense of the Uckaries. Chatiatoche Yazun, and mine Uckaries have taken hold upon me. Mayetim Teslonyan, Mayet to see, Mayet to see, Mayetim, and to see Teslonyan. I am not able to see, so that I am not able to look up. Ka-rase, tagur, yilika, bezu. Ka-rase, my head, tagur. The tagur, the hairs, karase, and from the hairs of my head, yilik, bezu. They are more than the hairs of my ras. Karase, tagur, yilik, bezu. Libem, tawen, and my heart, libem, tawen, left eye, and my heart forsook I. Kutar Asara, source, verse 13. Abetu, tadnen zen fiked, abetu inen lemerdata fiten. Be pleased, abetu, I father's father, father the house, to deliver, to I live, I to save, I tadnen zen fiked, will. I said, be pleased, fiked, will, abetu, tadnen zen, will to save I, abetu, inen lemerdata fiten, make haste to help inen, and I, lemerdat, to help fiten, be fast, be quick, fiten, hurry, to help I. Kuta Asara Arat, verse 14. Nefsena lematfata yemi wadua yiferru, bandanetema yigwasukullu, benne like fatina liadargu, yemi wadua wadkhalacho yimelesu yigwasukullu, make them be ashamed and confounded and confused together that seek after my soul to destroy her. Nefsin lematafanta yamiya wadudua yifaru, let them be in fear that love to destroy Lemat Fatimi, what to do, Nefsi, my soul. Let them be driven backward and put to shame that wish me, that wish I evil, that wish or that rara on I and I. Ba'andanetim, yigwasukwelo here. Bamarinya says, Ba'andanetim, yigwasukwelo. Ba'andanet, in unity, in oneness. Ba'andanetim, and in oneness, yigwasukwelo. Let them be miserable. Let them be miserable all together, Benelai, against Ine, against I, Benelai, Kafatina, Liya Dargu, those who do evil, Benelai, against I, Yamiya, what to do, those who love to do evil, what Khwalacho, to their back part, to their backward, what a Khwalacho, Yimelesu, may they turn back, Yigwasukwelum, and be miserable, and be put to shame, and be miserable, Kutasaramist. Verse 15. Let them be desolate for a reward of their shame that say to me, let them be desolate. Right? Let their shame, the ifret, immediately be paid. May they be paid, right? For the say, say to I, yamilunya faratachwit, or the yawa yikafalu kutasara sadist. Verse 16. Abetu yamiya feluguhu hulu ante tesibalacho ha setima yadregu. Hulgize madanehin yamiya what do as our ter egziavi her talaka yibel. Let all those that seek thee I rejoice and be glad, be happy, be glad, rejoice and be glad in the eye. Abetu I father's father, father of the house, yemiya feluguh. Those who seek the eye, male, hulu, all, everybody, all who seek the eye, abetu yemi feluguh, hulu, the ante. In the eye, male, the ante, speaking to he who be directly, the ante, desibelacho. May they be happy, rejoice in the eye. Hasetima yadrigu, and rejoice, and be glad, happy, and rejoice. Let such as love thy salvation say continually, itinually. The sustain the good, the generous Jehovah be magnified. Hul gize, madanihinna yami wed dua zawater. Hul gize, all the time. Madan, salvation, medicine, madanih, the eye, salvation, the eyes, medicine. Hul gize, madanihin yami wed do. Those who love you, me word to do, zawatir, always, all the time. Egziabi her talak yihun. Egziabi sustainer, talak, great, important, great, yihun. Let egziabi sustain the good, the generous, open-handed, be great, be important. Egziabi her talak yihun, yibello. May they say continually. Kutar asara sabat. Verse 17, Chabari. Inne chigranyana miskinen getagin yasubalinyal anta redatena medkhanitene amlaki hoy atazagi but I am poor and needy. Inne chigranyana miskinen I am poor, I am afflicted, I am poor. The helplessness of a man attracts to him the unwelcome attentions of the arrogant, and they increase his and I sufferings. It is the cause of the sustaining of the good, the generous Father, taking pity and having mercy on him, and coming to his and I rescue, the poor and the needy. Hinne chigrenyana miskinen getagin. Geta, the Lord Adonai, Geta, Bamarinya, Geta, the Lord, yet the Lord thinketh upon me. Geta, Gin, Yasibalinya, Geta, the Lord, Gin, however, the Lord, Geta, Gin, however, the Lord, yet the Lord, Yasibalinya, thinketh upon I, and I, Hanter redatena medchanitene, the I. the I, redate, my helper, and medchanite, and I medicine, and I salvation, ne, the I male antenne, ante redate na medchanite, ne, I'm lucky hoy, oh my source, I'm lucky hoy, oh my God, oh my source, atazagi, make no tarrying, tarry not in this extremity, tarry not, defer not. The faith continues firm. The flesh is weak and it cries out for a swift response. Amlaki hoy, atazagi, make no delay, 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 make no delay.
Let them message, Jaja. Rastafari, King of all kings, Lord of all lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of himself, mighty and thunder, rebel exhibit, massacre, and Yahweh, the goose and the God, let Jah be praised.
And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room. They went up into an upper room.
Bring forth the Bible. Bring forth the Bible.
መዝሙር 39 በቅንፍ 40 ለመዘምራን አለቃ የዳዊት መዝሙር። ቆይቼ እግዚአብሔርን ደጅ ጠናሁት፣ እርሱም ዘንበል አለልኝ፣ ጩኸቴንም ሰማ። ከጥፋት ጉድጓድ ከረግረግም ጭቃ አወጣኝ፣ እግሮቼንም በድንጋይ ላይ አቆማቸው፣ አረማመዴንም አጸና። አዲስ ዝማሬን ለአምላካችን ምስጋና ባፌ ጨመረ። ብዙዎች ያያሉ ይፈሩማል፣ በእግዚአብሔርም ይታመናል። እግዚአብሔርን የታመነ ወደ ትዕቢተኛና ወደ ሐሰተኛ ያልተመለከተ ሰው ምስጉን ነው። አቤቱ አምላኬ ያደረከው ታምራት ብዙ ነው፣ ሐሳብህንም ምንም የሚመስለው የለም። ባወራው ብናገረውም ከቁጥር ሁሉ በዛ። መስዋዕትንና ቁርባንን አልወደድህም፣ ሥጋን አዘጋጀህልኝ። የሚቃጠለውንና ስለ ኃጢአት የሚቀርበውን መስዋዕት አልሻህም። በዚያን ጊዜ አልሁ፣ እነሆ መጣሁ፣ ስለ እኔ በመጽሐፍ ራስ ተጽፏል። አምላኬ ሆይ ፈቃድህን ለማድረግ ወደድሁ፣ ሕግህም በልቤ ውስጥ ነው። በታላቅ ጉባኤ ጽድቅን አወራሁ፣ እነሆ ከንፈሮቼን አልከለክልም። አቤቱ አንተ ጽድቄን ታውቃለህ፣ እውነትህንም በልቤ ውስጥ አልሰወርሁም። ማዳንህንም ተናገርሁ፣ ምሕረትህንና እውነትህን ከታላቅ ጉባኤ አልሰወርሁም። አቤቱ አንተ ምሕረትህን ከኔ አታርቅ፣ ቸርነትህና እውነትህ ዘወትር ይጠብቁኝ። ቁጥር የሌላት ክፋት አግኝታኛለችና ኃጢአቶቼ ያዙኝ፣ ማየትም ተስኖኛል። ከራሴ ጠጉር ይልቅ በዙ፣ ልቤም ተወኝ። አቤቱ ታድነኝ ዘንድ ፍቀድ፣ አቤቱ እኔን ለመርዳት ፍጠን። ነፍሴን ለማጥፋት የሚወዱ ይፈሩ፣ በአንድነትም ይጎስቁሉ። በእኔ ላይ ክፋትን ሊያደርጉ የሚወዱ ወደ ኋላቸው ይመለሱ ይጎስቁሉም። እሰይ እሰይ የሚሉኝ እፍረታቸውን ወዲያው ይከፈሉ። አቤቱ የሚፈልጉ ሁሉ ባንተ ደስ ይበላቸው፣ ሐሴትም ያድርጉ። ሁልጊዜ ማዳንህን የሚወዱ ዘወትር እግዚአብሔር ታላቅ ይሁን ይበሉ። እኔ ችግረኛና ምስኪን ነኝ፣ ጌታ ግን ያስበኛል። አንተ ረዳቴና መድኃኒቴ ነህ፣ አምላኬ ሆይ አትዘግይ።
Teach me,
For my next number, I'd like to return to the classics.
መዝሙር 39 በቅንፍ 40 ለመዘምራን አለቃ የዳዊት መዝሙር። ቆይቼ እግዚአብሔርን ደጅ ጠናሁ፣ እርሱም ዘንበል አለልኝ፣ ጩኸቴንም ሰማ። ከጥፋት ጉድጓድ ከረግረግም ጭቃ አወጣኝ፣ እግሮቼንም በድንጋይ ላይ አቆማቸው፣ አረማመዴንም አጸና። አዲስ ዝማሬን ለአምላካችን ምስጋና ባፌ ጨመር። ብዙዎች ያያሉ ይፈሩም፣ በእግዚአብሔርም ይታመናል። እግዚአብሔርን የታመነ ወደ ትዕቢተኛና ወደ ሐሰተኛ ያልተመለከተ ሰው ምስጉን ነው። አቤቱ አምላኬ ያደረግከው ታምራት ብዙ ነው፣ ሐሳብህንም ምንም የሚመስለው የለም። ባወራው ብናገረውም ከቁጥር ሁሉ በዛ። መስዋዕትንና ቁርባንን አልወደድህም፣ ሥጋን አዘጋጀህልኝ። የሚቃጠለውንና ስለ ኃጢአት የሚቀርበውን መስዋዕት አልሻም። በዚያን ጊዜ አልሁ፣ እነሆ መጣ፣ ስለ በመጽሐፍ ራስ ተጽፏል። አምላኬ ሆይ ፈቃድህን ለማድረግ ወደድሁ፣ ሕግህም በልቤ ውስጥ። በታላቅ ጉባኤ ጽድቅን አወራሁ፣ እነሆ ከንፈሮቼን አልከለክልም። አቤቱ አንተ ጽድቄን ታውቃለህ፣ እውነትህንም በልቤ ውስጥ አልሰወርሁም። ማዳንህንም ተናገርሁ፣ ምሕረትህንና እውነትህን ከታላቅ ጉባኤ አልሰወርሁም። አቤቱ አንተ ምሕረትህን ከኔ አታርቅ፣ ቸርነትህና እውነትህ ዘወትር ይጠብቁኝ። ቁጥር የሌላት ክፋት አግኝታኛለችና ኃጢአቶቼ ያዙ፣ ማየትም ተስኖኛል። ከራሴ ጠጉር ይልቅ በዙ፣ ልቤም ተወኝ። አቤቱ ታድነኝ ዘንድ ፍቀድ፣ አቤቱ እኔን ለመርዳት ፍጠን። ነፍሴን ለማጥፋት የሚወዱ ይፈሩ፣ በአንድነትም ይጎስቁሉ። በእኔ ላይ ክፋትን ሊያደርጉ የሚወዱ ወደ ኋላቸው ይመለሱ ይጎስቁሉም። እሰይ እሰይ የሚሉኝ እፍረታቸውን ወዲያው ይከፈሉ። አቤቱ የሚፈልጉ ሁሉ ባንተ ደስ ይበላቸው፣ ሐሴትም ያደርጉ። ሁልጊዜ ማዳንህን የሚወዱ ዘወትር እግዚአብሔር ታላቅ ይሁን ይበሉ። እኔ ችግረኛና ምስኪን፣ ጌታ ግን ያስበኛል። አንተ ረዳቴና መድኃኒቴ ነህ፣ አምላኬ ሆይ አትዘግይ።
Elect of the light of this world. Remember now, lines of King David, Ark of the Covenant, Hebrew language, and you must, little children of the world, learn the Ashanti language, learn the ancient Hebrew language, learn the Twi, learn cuneiform, hieroglyphic, New Orphic, Tamarians, learn them languages there, learn the Hamaric language. You see? You see the English language, trying your mentality.
Sirach, the prologue, King James 1611 version. The same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. Sirach, the prologue, King James 1611 version. The same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. Sirach, the prologue.
Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people, to whom he said, This is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing. Yet they would not hear. But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. Wherefore hear the word of the Lord, hear the word of the Lord, hear the word of the Lord, hear the word.
Bring forth the Bible, bring forth the Bible, bring.
It suited to the time, the Iowa. It was a time of David's outlawry. You heard of outlaw, like the one is the outlaw, but this is the time of David's, the well-beloved, outlawry by Saul. By Saul. So Saul had rendered and marked, right, David as an outlaw. So this is the Iowa. This psalm, today's daily psalm. Shalom, Habarim, shalom. Today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, and he after the order of Melchizedek, Malachias, Melchizedek, Karmawi, Haile Selassie, HaKadosh, Baruch Hashem, Holy One, blessed be He, blessed be the name. So here, Habarim, we have Mizmor Main. Mizmor Mim, some point as Mim, the Hebrew Meh sound, M sound, Mim, Main. Right? Mizmor Maim. Ethiopically we point as Maim. Most will point as Meme. But here we have the 40th Psalm. Psalm XL. We have the XL Psalm. Today's daily Psalm. Praise, Isis, and prayer. Praise. We have praise and prayer. So here we have from the Sefer Tehillim, some of the first words, the context, the intro right here. A distinct break occurs at the end of verse 11 in the KJV, but in the Sefer Tehillim, he break would be verse 12, just that numbering thing right there. But the KJV, there's a distinct break that occurs at the end of verse 11. So today's daily psalm, and now previous, just prior to it, within the sequence, of course, I think the psalms, some psalms, it's interesting looking and studying at the royal order psalms. The ones have not downloaded, the daily psalms, Davidic worship chart. Please do, brothers and sisters, because we just had touched on the 39. So here we see just in the sequence here, right, building on a consecutive psalm. So this is kind of interesting right here, especially at this time, right, of the Shana of the year. So here, a distinct break occurs. In the first part, we have a hymn of praise, Isis, Miskana, Torah, Hebraically speaking, in the Lisan and Negus and Neges, in the Lashon of the king of Hamelech, we have Miskana, praise for past, deliverance. Now the second part, we have a petition, a sha'al, in the Hebrew sha'al, The sha'al is the ask. You say abetuta. The abetuta, petition. A sha'al. So the second part of today's daily psalm, Psalm XL. Mizmoramim. 40th Psalm, the second part, we have a sha'al, an ask for aid and assistance in present danger. Now, according to one particular view, as we take the time to enjoy our view, right, we have two separate compositions. There's one view that views it as two separate compositions that are linked together into one mizmor. The mizmor, mezmor Dawid, the psalms, the vocal praises, intonation, chant the psalm into one chant. But more probably the latter half, the second part was appended subsequently when the poet and the author, here we have Lamnat Seyach Le Dawid Mizmor, for the leader, the chief musician, Le Dawid, Le David, Le Dawid, David Mizmor, when the psalmist, when the condition, and I, you could say, as we ride up, had changed for the worse. The condition of the psalmist had changed for the worse. This is where we look at the second part of today's daily psalm. As we'll be pointing out, phrases in the second part, they seem to refer, right, or spiral, cipher as it were, but they refer back to the first part, which is an argument, a reasoning from the courts, the royal argument, not that stuff in the outer world, but it's an argument, right, a persuasion in favor of the unity, the einity, right? So a notable feature is that we have verses 13 to 17 in the KJV. In the Hebrew, if you look at the Hebrew, be verses 14 to 18. They appear separately. As Psalm LXX, as Psalm 70. So verses 13 to 17, KJV, they appear separately as Psalm 70 LXX. Now the background, the context and the background of today's daily psalm is suited to the time, the Iowa. There's a time of David's outlawry. You heard of outlaw, like the one is the outlaw, but this is the time of David's, the well-beloved, outlawry by Saul. By Saul. So Saul had rendered and marked David as an outlaw. So this is the Iowa. This psalm, today's daily psalm, is suited to the time, the Iowa of David being an outlaw, right? Wanted. He was wanted dead or alive. Yes, Rastafari. But the praise and the prayer, today's daily psalm, Mizmoramim, Lamnatseach Le Dawid, Mizmor.
Yes, yes, yes. Culture right there. No sin, no sin, no sin at all. Man say, what was hidden from the wise and prudent, revealed to the babes and suckling. Just listen to the tune again right there. That was back in that intro to today's Daily Psalm, Psalm 40. And when they said, no sin can enter there, Zion. I said, according to the glory of his majesty, the Bible, teaching of his majesty. That's not quite true. Perhaps we can update that lyric, that relic there to reflect the glory of his majesty, the teaching of his majesty. For my part, I glory in the Bible. His majesty say to we, those are the namesake, Rastafari, Rastafari. No sin can stay in there. No sin can stay in there. No sin can stay there. Point. Okay, here's the point right here. The point is the teaching of his majesty concerning the Bible. I know man and mansion, and, we all can decide. We can hear the word and do what, we choose to do. Many are called, few are chosen. What are you choosing? Love the tune right there. I wasn't going to say anything, but I said 10. It said, cursed be he who do the work of the Lord deceitfully and hold back their sword from blood. In other words, the sword is the word of Jah. So bringing that word of Jah might offend somebody because the truth is an offense, but it's not a sin. It's not an uckery. So no sin at all. Yes, but no sin can enter there. Well, then why does Isaiah 33:14 says the sinners in Zion? The sinners, the uckers in Zion, in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness has surprised the hypocrites. Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire, the fire that eats? Bringing out the Hebrew and even the Royal Amharic sense of that right there. Who among us shall dwell with everlasting, eternal burnings? Well, everlasting, let's bring that out. Forever? Is it forever, ever? Well, in the Hebrew and the Ethiopic sense, the olam, le zelalem, the olam sense, it's the time indefinite. The Hebrew meaning is the time indefinite. If you look up sin and Zion and see if it appears in the Bible together, you find it says a lot, sing. Yeah, S-I-N, but that's different. That's sing. Right, but here we have a couple of other verses as well. Lamentations 4:22 says, the punishment of thine iniquity, thy moral perversity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. But there's a better verse that even brings out the fact that sin can and has entered thee. It's like the other tune where we say like the Ark of the Covenant can't be captured, but it was, according to the teaching of his majesty. It's over. It's just a chant, it's a tune. And of course, we're Jah children growing in grace, growing. So in growing, those things are grandfathered in, as we would say. But as we get to see that it contradicts the teaching of his majesty, we need to upgrade. Yeah.
My advice to all is to fulfill the Ten Commandments.
You hear?
You are aware of the contents of the Ten Commandments and can elaborate on.
Let's elaborate right here. So in Micah 1:13 it says, O thou inhabitant of Lachish, bind the chariot, bind the Merkabah to the swift beast. She is the beginning of the sin to the daughter of Zion, for the transgressions of Yisrael, of Israel, were found in thee. So we have at least 2, possibly 3 verses right here where it does speak about For example, the sinners in Zion. Because what and where was Zion? According to the scripts, Zion was the castle of David. Then David brought up the Ark of the Covenant, right? And he placed it there. So the connection with the Ark and with his castle, the seat of government. Zion symbolically is the seat of the Davidic, and we could say the Messianic government and kingdom. Just to put these things together. Yes, in the latter times, we get the revelation, of Yeshua, right, and his mother. And there's a likeness, right, of the Ark to this Dingal Mariam, to St. Mary, Mariam, and the two tablets of law. The law was in it, right, on stone, right, to the incarnation of Jesus Christos, the King of Kings Christ, of Yeshua HaNotri. But it does say that the sinners in Zion are afraid, right? So that means if sinners are in Zion, did sin enter into Zion? The Ark of the Covenant can't be captured, but it was captured. I mean, even the role of it as it was then is not quite, as things have been transferred from the lower type to the higher type. But right here, just like to say a couple of words right there. As we heard it, we said, chant, that's not quite right. We overstand no sin at top, right? Bun it up, right? And for I don't bring that in there. But we do have to admit that it was in there, right? Yes. Full of the King.
Your Majesty, as a mature Christian, have you a special word for young people?
You might not have heard it before, so we just pause it here. He said, Your Majesty, Gormawi Nagusan against John Hoy, as a what kind of a Christian, Meshahawian, anointed one? As a mature, all right, so growing in grace and in knowledge. Here, Sima.
Your Majesty, as a mature Christian, have you a special word for young people of these days?
በዚህ ቀን የኛ ግዛት ውስጥ ላለው ሁሉ ነው የምንናገረው።
On this occasion, I address also all those within our empire. Our Christianity is not restricted to a given church, and I stress above all that we do not wish to make distinctions. My advice to all is to fulfill the 10 Commandments. You are aware of the contents of the 10 Commandments and can elaborate on it. If the nation for which I am the emperor follows and accepts this, since it's also what I accept and follow, I would believe our country is not only historically Christian, but also actively Christian.
It's very interesting of all the things that His Majesty could have said. He could say, keep the law, the statutes, and the commandments. But he says to fulfill. Very interesting, to fulfill the 10 words. And those 10 words called the 10 Commandments were the very same words, Hebraically, Judaically, that we know based on the Torah, based on the glory of His Majesty, were those very words that Jehovah, according to the scriptures, spoke himself. And when he spoke those words in Exodus, he spoke those words to the people. The people got afraid, right? And they asked for Moshe to be their mediator. All right, so we get to the new covenant, a mediator, Yeshua, the Bain, Ha-Elohim, the mediator of the new covenant. But those same 10 words were the words that Yahweh, Jehovah, spoke with his own, right? And that right there is the core of it. All the rest is basically commentary. Those 10 words right there, we can fulfill. And notice he said, not just to keep, to guard, not even to so-called do, but to fulfill those 10 words, right? All the rest is fulfilled. So right here, go slow and heavy on this right here. The first 3 verses get a better interpretation here, of today's daily psalm, the context right here, Psalm 40. Yes. Come again. Come on.
Reggae music universal.
Strictly drum and
Yes.
bass. Make you wind up your waist.
Awoke with the hour, wait I lie, Waishma, Shawati, I waited patiently for Jehovah. Awoke with the hour, wait I lie, Waishma. Shawati, and he inclined, Wa'et Elai to Wa'ishma, Shawati, and he heard my cry. Wa'ishma, and he heard Shawati, my shout, Joe. He heard my cry. Yes, he brought I up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock and established my goings. And he hath put a new song, Shir Chadash, in my mouth, even praise Isis, Tehillah Eloheinu, to Ainai Elohim. Many shall see, sight and fear and respect, and shall trust in the Yahweh. He who be who he be. Yes, I. Blessed is that man. Oh, the first Aleph, Beit, Gimel, and part of the Dalet, the Ashrei, Hageber. Happy is the man, happy is that man. But beginning off here in today's daily psalm, here going through some of the groundation, the Hebraics of it all from the Sefer Tehillim, we have Mizmor Mim, the Mim Mizmor. The 40th Psalm, Psalm XL, praise and prayer. The psalmist right here, Lamnat Eyach Le Dawid Mizmor, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, of David. The psalmist and I combines a song of thanksgiving, the giving of thanks, Yangful Isis, praises Isis for a recent act of divine deliverance. Here in verses 1 to 11. In 1 to 11 we have the thanksgiving, the thanksgiving for the giving of thanks, the miskana, the Todah in the Hebrew, for a recent act, an act of the Ivine and the Ivine deliverance of Dawid and I, as we rise up to chant today's daily psalm according to the royal order of Ethiopian Hebrews, Igbos, after the order of Malachias Edek, the righteous King Karmawi, Chayda Selassie, Hakadosh, Baruch Hashem. So here, the groundation, Aleph, Beit, Gimel. Just get a Hebrew groundation right here from the Sefer Tehillim, right here for today's daily psalm, right here. In the first 11 verses is the praise, the miskana, the Todah L'Adonai, to Adonai, Rastafari. And then we have, in the second part, a confidence in the victory, the Yeshua, the victory, the salvation of the good over the evil, the petition, a ask, a sha'al, right here, an ask for renewed divine intervention in verses 12 to 17 of today's daily psalm, the 40th psalm, Psalm XL. So two distinct parts of the psalm. We spoke about this briefly in the Tehillim, the intro. There's a distinct break that occurs right at the end of verse 11. If we're looking at the KJV, King James Version, and the Sefer Tehillim, number to look differently, be at the end of verse 12. But here, from low degrees to high degrees, and beginning off with the Aleph, Beit, Gimel, the ABGs, Hebraically speaking, we have the Aleph verse. The Aleph verse right here is the superscription, Lam Natseyah, Li Dawid Mizmor, to the chief musician, for the chief musician, La Minatseyah, for the Minatseyah. Li Dawid, of David, for David, of Dawid, Mizmor, a chant, a vocal intonation. So here we have the second verse, right? We have the second verse, Hebraically, which will be your first verse in the English. So here, make I and I ride up, just with the Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Beshem, Ha'av, Ha'bein, Raha, Kadosh, Yahweh, Echad. So here we have the opening, Kawo, Kwiti, Kawo, Kwiti, Yawa, Ya, Wayet, Elai, Wayishma'a, Shawati, Wayishma, Shawati. And he heard my shawati, my shawati, shawati, my shout, my cry to the eye. But I waited patiently. Now, the 40th Psalm, Mizmor, and here we have some notes as well from the First Schofield Study Bible for the Habarim, and I Discipleship Study, Rastafari Discipleship Study. We have the Schofield Study Bible, and it has a reference to today's daily psalm, speaking of HaMoshiach, speaking of the Messiah, as the corresponding Torah portion this season, Mitzvah, also speaks of the Messiah as the avenger. Once we get right, with the King of Kings Christ, right, that the cleansing of the Mitzorah. What's the Mitzorah? Right, the Motzi Ra'ah. Remember, David, this is the time of David being called and considered an outlaw, right, by Shaul, right, by Saul and the lies and the slanders. See, we have the fourth, the Daleth verse that says, bless. It says, bless, Ashrei, happy, Ashrei Hagever, the Gever. Ashrei, happy is that man that maketh Yahweh Jehovah his trust, and respecteth not, does not respect the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. With Sateh Chazav, those who turn aside, those who go astray to lies and gossip and rumors and chatty pattiness, spreading rumors and tale bearing. Right? We talk about the Mitzorah, Motzi Ra'ah, right? The Motzi, the one who brings forward all that Ra'ah. Oh, Shaul, right? Brought forward Ra'ah against David, the well-beloved. So we get a perfect object lesson here, and then we also have the prayer and the praise, or the praise. Firstly, the psalm is ordered in the praise first, the praise in verses 1 to 11, that praise, a thanksgiving for a recent act of divine deliverance. And then in the second part, we have a prayer, or a sha'al, an ask, confidence, a teaching of His Majesty, that confidence of Garmawi, John Hoy, that confidence, the evidence in the victory of good over evil, word, sound, power, for renewed divine intervention, the second part of today's daily psalm. But we have the XL. This psalm is the XL, speaks of the Messiah, Jehovah's servant, obedient to death. Obedient to death. Like some people say, oh, I love some such and such to death. Do they really? Do you really? Or is it just a saying? All right, that's a saying. But here we have HaMoshiach, even Yeshua. All right, Jehovah's servant, obedient to death. So the psalm, it begins with the joy of Christos, the joy of Christ, the joy of HaMoshiach, Yeshua, in the Tinsai, in the resurrection. Right, in verses 1, we have verses 1 and 2. Awo kwiti awa wayit elai waishma'a shawati waya elaini mi bora shaona mi eita hayawen waya ema Allah salah ragalaya konen Ashorai. He brought I up. He brought I up. Waya Eleni. The Aliyah. He calls that Aliyah. Waya Eleni. Waya Eleni. Mi bor. Shaon. Mi bor Shaon. Mi at Eita Hayarin. Why am Allah Salah Raglaya Konen Ashorai. He brought I up also out of the tumultuous pit. He brought I up also out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet Raglai. He said, I feet Allah Salah Raglai. He said, I feet Wayakem Allah Salah, the Salah upon the rock, and establish I goings. Konen Ashorai, Konen Ashorai. Establish I goings, I trotting. So here in these two verses, we have the joy of HaMoshiach in resurrection. Right? In the first two verses of today's daily psalm, he says, in the beginning, I waited, waiting, right? That waiting, that patience, the patience and the waiting. At the very opening of the praise in today's daily psalm, the 40th psalm, the exhale, let's call it the exhale psalm. In the old Roman numbers, the Roman letters numbers is the exhale, right? And this exhale psalm, it speaks of Moshiach, so it's a messianic psalm, right? He has been in the horrible pit, the pit of the grave, but has been brought up. Waya Eleni, Aliyah, Waya Eleni. He brought I up, me from the bore, right? From the pit, from a horrible pit, a tumultuous pit. Now we have verses 3 to 5. Verses 3 to 5 could say his daily psalm is a messianic psalm. Psalm Exile, Psalm 40. Verses 3 to 5 are his resurrection testimony, his Shir Chadash, the Shir Chadash. All right, in the Hebrew, the Shir, the Ode, Chadash, the new, the renewed, his new song. Verses 6 to 7 it's a retrospective, right? Retrospective, like to look back, right? Almost like looking in the rearview mirror. When sacrifice and offering, there's a time when the sacrifice and the offering had become abomination. Why? Because of the wickedness, the ratchetness, right, of Ha'am, Right? And we have one example of this in tune with the Torah portion on the Lashon Hara, the tongue of evil, the evil tongue, the slanderous tongue, the gossip, tale-bearing tongue, the wickedness of Amor. In the beginning was the word. So we have Yeshaya, Isaiah. Isaiah points this out to Ainai in the first chapter of Isaiah, verses 10 to 15. Now then, the obedient servant, right? The prototypical Abdiyu or Obadiah, the name, servant, Obadiah, Abdiyu, right? The servant of Jehovah came to make and to present and to give the pure offering. So the pure offering, you find this in verses 7 straight to the fulfillment in verse 17, verses 7 to 17, as well as in the Epistle to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verses 5 to 17. So today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, and here after the order of Melchizedek, we have this Melchizedek psalm. Here we have this Messianic psalm. So let's give ear, beginning off with the first words. The psalm, I waited patiently. Avo, somebody say Avo, Viti Adonai. Some Yehudi will none say like that. We say according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, Yahweh. I waited patiently for he who be, and he inclined to I, Wayet Eli, he inclined to I, and heard my cry. Wayishma, Shawati, and I shout, he heard, I. I relied, right? I inclined, I waited patiently. See, the infinitive absolute precedes the finite verbal form to emphasize. The emphasis is reflected in many of the translations through like some adverbs. Some people say completely. Another option is to translate it, I waited patiently. I relied. I deep in that sense, but completely, how completely the awokawiti. Interestingly enough, Bamarinya in the Metzal is going to ride up with the Mezmor Dawit from the Book of the Seven Seals of Gormawi, Haile Selassie. The first thing getting Ainai roots here, right? According to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, our Hebraic groundation. We have Awok Awiti. Bamarinya, we have Koiche, Gaziavi Heredejit and out, waiting at that door, the Patah, as we have in the Torah. Don't connect the dots, but right here, just riding up right here with this first opening verse, waiting patiently. Awok Awiti. Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahweh, Awok Witi, Yahweh, Wayet Eli, Wayishma, Shawati, hearing I cry. He inclined to I. He may approach to effect my rescue. Give me refuge and rescue. Or it may be an adverbiated form of the phrase, incline thine ear to I, as we have in Psalm 31, round about verse 2, verse 3, to hearken to my prayer, hearkening, hearing to I, inclining to I. Remember, these first two verses, they speak of HaMoshiach, right, as that great Obadiah, Obadiah, the great servant of Jehovah, obedient to death. The psalm, it begins with the joy of Christos, of Christ, of the anointed in resurrection. Get up, stand up. Here we have verses 1 and also verse 2. This leads us to verse 2, the bait verse we can say right here, looking at the KJV. He brought me up. He brought I and I up. He caused I and I to Aliyah. Here we have HaMoshiach, right? In the fullness speaking, bringing I and I up. Waya Eleini, Waya Eleini, mi bor, Waya Eleini, mi bor, Waya Eleini, Aliyah, Aliyah, mi bor, the bor, the pit. And what kind of a pit is it? It's a horrible, right? It's a horrible Shaon, mi bor, Shaon, mi Hayarin, and out of the miry clay, out of the miry clay. So KJV says a horrible pit, right? The horrible pit. The Bor Shaon, uproar. Shaon is an uproar, as of a rushing. By implications, destruction. Often translated as horrible, noisy, pomp, rushing, a tumultuous pit. A pit of destruction, some translate it as. But most likely, the rendering is a pit of roaring. The pit of Shaon, of an uproar, a rushing, a roaring, Shaon, right? The Bor Shaon, of roaring waters, the roaring waters. All the phrases in the verse are to be understood and should be understood according to the sign language, starting to read the Hebrew sign language, the Hebrew mythos. In other words, in the figurative sense, in his flight, he endured the privations, right? That exile, the privations and the perils of one who is confined within a loathsome, a horrible dungeon, right? The miry clay, the swamps, they indicate his feeling of insecurity, and I riding up and rising up the chant, the miry clay, right? The feelings of insecurity, lack of security. He and I was like a person without a firm foothold. This is Lit Dawid Mizmor, Psalm of David, a man after Ha'adon, after the Lord, after Adonai's own heart. Right now, here, as it rides through, as we have this right here, within this verse here, Waya Eleini, Aliyah, Ani, he Aliyah, he who be, Aliyah, Yahweh, Jehovah, he who be, the Yahweh, he Aliyah, Ani, mi bor Shaon, from the bor, the pit that was Shaon, horrible pit, right? Mi Eta Hayayin, right? The teat, the mud. Right, the mud that is Yavin or Yawin, the dregs, the muddy, the miry, the murkiness, right, that murkiness. And then we have this here in this verse, Wayakem, Allah Salah, Wayakem, Allah Salah Raglai, Konen Ashorai. Starts my goings. He set my feet upon the Selah, Selah, not to be confused with Selah. We have Selah, like the pause, Selah pause. Here we have the Selah, right? It's a different enunciation because this is the rock, the Selah. Al-Selah, right? Wayakem al-Selah, Raglai, my feet, he set upon, he made it firm, he made them stand, he made my feet to stand in that sense, setting my feet on the Selah, right? The Selah. All right, the difference you find is that in translations they have S-E-L-A and then they'll have S-E-L-A-H. Now, that's the English translation. It might be a little confusing, but just to get away from that confusion and get clarity in life, that's Selah. The Selah is the rock, and the Selah, the Selah, Selah, and the Selah, Selah, right? The Selah, right? Selah is the rock. So upon the rock, here, when the divine help, the aid and assistance reach him and reaches I, there's a complete change of his situation and I's situation. It's a completely change. Then now we have the feeling, the perception that he and I stands upon a solid rock, a solid foundation. We have groundation. We have a foundation. And he established I going. He made firm. Konain Asharai. So here we have the Hebrew Konain, Mekonin, Konain, to establish Asharai. Establish Asharai, my steps, my tribe, my going. Right? He and I, we no longer slithering around in this mud, in this pit, but now you're standing firm-footed, flat-footed upon the rock. Upon this rock, I stand. Because he has lifted I up from the cistern of roaring, the pit, the bore of roaring, metaphorically of the Sheol, the place of death and destruction and anti-repatriation away from the Pater, the Father, and I blameless Av, Ekasiavi here, which is sometimes depicted as a raging sea. We have this in Psalm 18 and 4, as well as Psalm 18 verses 15 to 16, that Sheol as the waters and the waters and the waters of roaring, of Sharon, referring to the crashing, dashing, restless sea, the crashing sound of the sea waves in Psalm 65 and 7, from the mud of mud, delivering I from the mud of mud, the slimy mud, right? The slimy mud, giving that additional and added emphasis and coming to this fulfillment of establishing I footsteps, Konain Asharai, the Konain, Ras Mekonin, yes, the King Messiah, even Christ in his kingly character, establishing Konain Asharai, establishing I footsteps. Now here, bringing us to the third verse, and he has put a new song, a shir hadash, into I mouth. Waitain befi, waitain befi, afe, in I mouth. Waitain befi, shir hadash, tehila le'Elohim. Yir'u Rabim Yirau Yibaechu Bayahuah, and he has put a new song, a shir hadash, into my feet, my thigh, my mouth. Even praise, eyes is tehila Elohim, to Aina Elohim. Many shall see. Yiru Rabim, Yiru Arabim, many shall see Arabim, many. We and shall respect, reverence, fear, and respect with Yivatechu by Yahweh, and shall trust, take confidence and confidence in he who be, his divine majesty. Here we have Psalm 33 also speaks of a new song, the Shir Chadash, and the response to the word, sound, and power of that new song. The praise of Adonai Elohim, true good, true God, is that many will see Yeru, to see many Rabim, Naphalim, with Yirau. So we have Yeru, to see, and Yirau, Yirau, One is to see and one is to respect. Seen, sight, where yivatechu b'Yahovah, and they will trust, be confident, confident in He who be, His divine majesty. They will reflect upon His deliverance, and be filled with awe, the awe of He who be, His divine majesty is awesome, terrible. Yes, at Jehovah's saving power. Ashrei HaGavar.
Evil boy, everything takes time. Evil.
Rastafari, Abagada, Awagada, Taya, Kaya, Manasai, Patada, Warashata, ha.
מזמור מם למנצח לדוד מזמור. מזמור מם למנצח לדוד מזמור. מזמור מם למנצח לדוד מזמור. קבו קיוויתי אדוני ויית אלי וישמע שבעתי. ויעלני מבור שעון מתית היבן. ויקם על סלע רגלי, כונן אשורי. וייתן בפי שיר חדש, תהילה לאלוהינו. יראו רבים ויראו, ויבטחו באדוני. אשרי הגבר אשר שם אדוני מבטחו, ולא פנה אל רהבים, וסתה חזי. רבות עשית אתה אדוני אלוהי, נפלאותיך ומחשבותיך אלינו, אין ערוך אליך. אגידה ואדברה, עצמו מספר. זבח ומנחה לא חפצת, אוזניים קרית לי. עולה וחטאה לא שאלת. אז אמרתי הנה באתי, במגילת ספר כתוב עליי. לעשות רצונך אלוהי חפצתי, ותורתך בתוך מעי. בישרתי צדק בקהל רב, הנה שפתי לא אכלה. אדוני אתה ידעת. צדקתך לא כיסיתי בתוך ליבי, אמונתך ותשועתך אמרתי. לא כיחדתי חסדך ואמיתך לקהל רב. אתה אדוני לא תכלה רחמך ממני, חסדך ואמיתך תמיד יצרוני. כי אפפו עלי רעות עד אין מספר, השיגוני עוונותי ולא יכולתי לראות. עצמו משערות ראשי וליבי עזבני. רצה אדוני להצילני, אדוני לעזרתי חושה. יבושו ויחפרו יחד מבקשי נפשי לספותה. ייסוגו אחור ויקלמו חפצי רעתי. ישומו על עקב בושתם האומרים לי האח האח. יסיסו וישמחו בך כל מבקשיך. יאמרו תמיד יגדל אדוני אוהבי תשועתך. ואני עני ואביון, אדוני יחשוב לי. עזרתי ומפלטי אתה, אלוהי אל תאחר.
For with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering lips for with stammering lips and another tongue and another tongue to this speak to this for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. To whom he said, This is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing. Yet they would not hear, would not hear, would not hear, would not hear, would not hear.
Of David, a song, a mizmor, a chant, an intonation. Awo, kwiti, awa. I waited patiently for Jehovah, Wayed Elai, and he inclined to I, Wayishma'a Shawati, and he heard my cry, my Shawati, my shout. These words are to be considered in the light, the illumination of the verse in Yeshayahu, in Isaiah 25:9. And it shall be said in that day, Lo, look, this is Eloheinu, this is our Elohim, for whom we wait, that he might save us. Ve'amar bayom hahu, hine Eloheinu, zeh Uinu lawa, ve'yoshainu, zeh Yahuwah Uinu lawa, Nagila, ve'nisanecha.
Honorable Chinese proverb say,
Awo kuritiyawa, wa'ita'elai, wa'ishma'a, shawati. I waited patiently for Jah. Mizmor Mem, Psalm 40. La menatziach le David Mizmor. Awok witi Yahuwah, Wayet Elaya, Waishma'a Shawati. Mizmor Mem, Psalm 40. La menatziach le David Mizmor. Awok witi Yahuwah, Wayet Elaya, Waishma'a Shawati. For the leader, the Psalm of David, I waited patiently for Yahweh, for Jehovah, and he inclined to me, to I, and heard my cry. La menatzeach, lit David mizmor. Awo kuiti yawa, wayet elai, wayishma shawati. For the leader, the chief musician, a psalm of David. I waited patiently for Yahweh, for Jehovah, and he inclined to me and heard my cry. Psalm 40, first two verses. Hear, Shema Yisrael. Here for the Midrash. Here for a study on today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews. And here, after the order of Malachi Tzedek, Mizmor Mim, Mizmor Mem. The 40th Psalm, Psalm 40. The opening words, including the superscription, La Menatzeach, for the leader, the chief musician, La Menatzeach, for the overcomer, Le David Mizmor, of David, a psalm, a mizmor, a chant, an intonation. Awo kuiti awa. I waited patiently for Jehovah. Wayet Elai, and he inclined to I. Wayishma'a shawati, and he heard my cry, my shawati, my shout. These words are to be considered in the light, the illumination of the verse in Yeshayahu, in Isaiah 25 and 9. And it shall be said in that day, Lo, look, this is Eloheinu, this is our Elohim, for whom we waited, that he might save us. Ve'amar bayom hahu, hine Eloheinu, zeh, kawinu laoa, ve'yoshainu, zeh, Yahweh, kawinu laoa, nagila, ve'nisamecha biyashuato. It shall be said in the day, behold, this is our Elohim, I and I, true good, true God. We have waited for him, and he will save us. He will save I and I. Zeh Yahweh, this Jehovah. We, I and I, have waited for him. We, I and I, will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. Salvation, 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 salvation. Isaiah 25 and 9. It is not in the power of Yisrael, it's not in the power of Israel to do anything, but wait for HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, to redeem them in reward for saying, I have waited patiently for Jehovah. Kawo Kuiti Yahuwah. As it is written in Lamentations 3 and 25, Jehovah is good to them that wait for him. And also in Zechariah 9 and 12, return to the stronghold, ye your prisoners of hope, your prisoners of expectation. But perhaps you say, as in the words of Jeremiah 8 and 20, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we, I and I, are not saved. Then, in the words of Psalm 27 and 14, wait for Jehovah, be strong, and let thy heart take courage. Yea, wait thou, the eye, for Jehovah. Note, wait for Jehovah. And again, wait for Jehovah. Keep on waiting and waiting. So, though you wait and still are not saved, be strong and make thy heart take courage. Wait and wait again. And if you say, how long must we wait? Long ago it was written in Psalm 131 and 3. O Yisrael, hope in Jehovah from this time, this hour forth and forever. And also in Psalm 31:25, be strong and
let your heart take courage. All y'all, all ye that wait for Jah, for Jah, for Jah, for Jah. If you wait, you shall be saved. For it is said in Isaiah 49 and 23, they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. They shall not be ashamed that wait for I. And in Isaiah 40:31, they that wait for Yahweh, for Jehovah, shall renew their strength. And also in Psalm 37, verse 9, those that wait for Jehovah, they shall inherit the land. Hence, here, even in today's daily psalm, Mizmor Me, Psalm 40, hence, here it is said, I waited patiently for Jehovah, and he inclined to I, and heard my cry, and heard my shout. Awok witi Yahuwah, wayet Elai, wayishma'a shawati. Therefore, Elohim said, David, who waited for me, him I answered. Waya'eleni, mibora shaona mitita hayayin, wayakem ala sala'a, raglaya konena ishorai. He brought I up. Waya'eleni, he aliyah, waya'eleni, he brought I up also out of the tumultuous pit, out of the miry clay. Waya'eleni, mibora shaona mitita hayayin. But did David ever go down into a pit or into mire? This is what David meant. I was already on the way that leads to Gehenna. That is called the tumultuous pit and the miry clay. Mibor shaon mitita hayayin. But I prayed and waited for the reward of my worship, for the reward of I worshipped, and won it. For HaKadosh Baruchu, the Holy One, blessed be He, did not suffer me to sink into Gehenna, as it is written in Psalm 16, verse 10. Thou wouldest not abandon my soul, my psyche, to the netherworld, neither wouldest thou suffer thy goodly one to see the pit. Ki lo ta'ezov nafshi lishol, lo titein chasideka leot shachat. Thou wouldest not abandon my soul to Sheol, to the netherworld. Ki lo ta'ezov nafshi lishol, neither wouldest thou that I suffer thy goodly one to see the pit. Lo titena chasideka leot shachat. And it was not enough that he did not suffer I to go down into the pit. He also made I know in what way I ought to walk, in what way I ought to trod, as it is written in Psalm 16, verse 11, the very next verse. Thou madest me to know the path of life, of liberty. In thy presence, in thy face is fullness of joy. Toda'aini orach chayim. Sira simachot etapaneka ne'imota bimineka netzach. That is the Gan Ba'eden, the Garden of Eden. Hence, David. Hence, here, David said, he brought I up, Waya'eleni, also out of the tumultuous pit, Mi Bora Sha'on, out of the miry clay, Mi Tita Hayawen.
nay, more. He lifted me up to a high place. As it is written, he set my feet upon a rock. He established my goings. Wayakem al sela'a raglai konein ishorai. He set my foot upon a rock. Wayakem al sela'a raglai. He established konein. He established my goings. Konein ishorai. By rock, Selah. By rock is clearly meant a very high and lofty place. As it is said in Isaiah, in Isaiah 33:16, he shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the fortresses of rocks. Hence here, David said, he set my foot upon a rock. Wayakem al Selah Raglai. And why such things? Why such things for me? For I? Because of my waiting. Because I waited for Elohim, the true good, the true God. He desires neither burnt offerings, nor whole offerings, nor sacrifices. Only waiting. They asked David, how do we know that Elohim did such things for thee? David replied, you know from the song that I sing. He hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise to our Elohim. Wayitain befi shir chadash tehillah leLelohenu. He hath put a new song in my mouth. Wayitain befi, and he put befi in my mouth. Shir chadash, song, a new song. Shir chadash, even praise, tehillah, to Einai Elohim, leLelohenu. They ask, and were all thine other songs not new? David replied, even as I was going down into the pit of destruction, he lifted I up, and I said, as now thou, the eye, has lifted me up, waya'eleni, so give back Ruach HaKadosh, the Holy Spirit, the Irat to I. The verse in Psalm 91, verse 14, restore to me, to I, the joy of thy salvation, and make a willing spirit uphold me, uphold I. Slicha na. Lo error than the Midrash, that Psalm 51:14. Ha shiva li son yisha eka wi ruach nedira tisa mecheni. Restore to me the joy of thy salvation. Ha shiva li sisona yisha eka, and make a willing spirit. Wi ruach nediba tisa mecheni, uphold me. Tisa mecheni, uphold I. Psalm 51:14. This shows that Ruach HaKadosh, the Holy Spirit, the Irat, had been taken away from him. And Elohim, the true good, the true God, said to I now give thee back thy spirit, the I spirit. Thus, it's like this that David explained the Shir Chadash, the new song. Yeru Rabbim, Yerau, many shall see and fear and reverence and respect. Yeru Rabbim, Yerau,
he who wishes to repent ought to look upon David, upon David, of whom it is written in Yeshaya, in Isaiah 55:4, Behold, I have given him for a witness to the peoples. Hence, it is said in today's daily psalm, Psalm 40, verse 4, in the Hebrew, Yeru Rabbim V'yirau. Many shall see and fear and reverence and respect, and thereupon they shall trust in Jehovah. V'yivatechu b'Yahweh. And they shall trust V'yivatechu b'Yahweh, in Jehovah. So too, when, according to the words of Exodus 14:31, Israel saw the great work that Jehovah did. Thereupon, according to Exodus 15, verse 1, Moses and the Bnei Yisrael and the sons, the children of Israel, the Israelites, sang this song. Ashrei Hagaver, Asher Sami Yahweh, Mivat Acho, Lo Fana Ella Rehavim, with Satei Chazab. Blessed is the man that maketh Jehovah his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Ashrei Hagaver, Asher Sami Yahweh, Mivat Acho, Lo Fana Ella Rehavim, with Satei Chazab. A man should not say, quote, because I have sinned, because I have upped up, there is no mending me, there is no mending I, end quote. Let him make him rather put his trust in Jehovah, and make him repent, make him change his mind, and Jehovah will receive him. Nor should a man say, quote, if I repent, if I change my mind, I shall be left without pride. Rather, make pride be hateful to him, and make him abase himself, and return in penitence, and return in repentance. V'lo fana ella rahavim, v'satei chazab, such as turn aside to lies, v'satei chazab, are they who incline to schemes of deceit. So too Scripture says in the words of Psalm 101:3, I hate the works of them that turn aside. Esosetim saneti, I hate the doings of things, of fangs crooked. Esosetim saneti, I hate the doings of things crooked. I hate the works. I hate the works of them that turn aside. Esosetim saneti, 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 saneti. Many, O Jehovah, Elohai, Haliai, my Elohim, are thy wonderful works that thou hast done, and thy thoughts that are to us word, that are to I and 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 Rabota Osita Ata Yahweh Elohai Nifleoteka Uamache Shavoteka Eleinu. Many, O Jehovah Elohai Haliai, many are thy wonderful works that thou hast done, and thy thoughts that are to us, to I and I word. Rabota Osita Ata Yahweh Elohai Nifleoteka Uamache Shavoteka Eleinu. Rav Chanina Bar Papa said, this verse refers to the wondrous works and thoughts thou didst conceive to make Abraham choose the yoke of the kingdoms for himself. Eleinu,
to us word, Aleinu, to I and I word, implying that he did so for our sake, for I and I sake, that I and I might endure in this world and also possess life, possess liberty in the Olam Haba, in the world to come, to come, to come, to come, to come. Rav Yudan and Rav Iddi and Rav Hamabar Chanina taught in the name of a certain elder what he had said in the name of Rav Yehuda, Judah. Abraham did not know that he had to choose the yoke of the kingdoms for himself. Indeed, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose the yoke of the kingdoms for Abraham. Left to himself, Abraham might have chosen Gehenna. Of this David said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the Holy One, blessed be He, in Psalm Mizmor 66 and 12, Thou hast caused men to ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water, but Thou, the I, wilt bring I and I out into a place of cool air. Hiare kavta enosh le roshenu, banu vaisha uavamayim, watotzienu lara waya. By the words, Thou hast caused men to ride over our heads, over our rases, over our rosh, over our heads. Here rekavta enosh le roshenu. David meant the yoke of the kingdoms laying upon us, upon I and I, by the words of Aish and fire, Aish, fire, Mayim, Bamayim, by the words Aish, fire, and Mayim, waters. He meant Gehenna, wherein Harasha, the Rishaim, the wicked, the ratchet, are punished with fire and snow and ice. Thus, like this, the words, Thou hast caused men to ride over our heads, over I and I heads. David was saying that it was as though we went through the fire, and the water, of Gehenna. But the I wilt bring I and I out into a place of cool air. Promises, quote, I will redeem the I when thou, the I, passes through the waters. I will be with thee, the I, and through the rivers, that they shall not overflow the I, because thou walkest thus, thou trottest like this. Thou, the I, shalt not be burnt in the fire, neither shall the flame kindle up on the I. According to Isaiah 43, verse 2. By, quote, when thou passest through the waters, end quote, are meant troubles that overtake one another like waves. By the phrase, quote, through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee, end quote. By these words are meant the kingdoms that are like the waters of the rivers. By, quote, because thou walkest thus, thou shalt not be burnt in the fire, end quote, is meant that thou, the I, wilt not suffer Gehenna. By, quote, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee, end quote. By this is meant the flood of flame that will burn up Harasha, the Rishaim, the ratchet, the wicked, in the Olam Haba, in the age to come, as
it is said in Malachi 3:19, the day that cometh shall bun them up, 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 bun them up. Rav Berechiah taught Abraham sat still and was silent all of that day. And Hakadosh Baruch Hu asked him, quote, how long wilt thou sit still and be silent? Bring thy melancholy to an end and choose the yoke of kingdoms for thyself. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, the Isla One, blessed be He, thus, like this, brought him to a decision in the matter. As it is said in Genesis 15, verse 18, in that day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, hence, here, Scripture says, thy wonderful works, nifleoteka, thy wonderful works, nifleoteka, and thy thoughts that are to us word, that are to I and I word, uamachet shavoteka eleinu. That is, they are for the sake of us, for the sake of I and I, so that we, I and I, be not enslaved in Gehenna. They cannot be reckoned up in order to the I. Ein erok eleka. They cannot be reckoned up in order to the I. What man can set in order a song to tell of nifloteka, thy, the I, wondrous works? For though I would declare and speak of them, agida wa etabera, for though I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be told. Agida wa etabera atzmua miasaper. Sacrifice and meal offering, thou, the I, hast no delight in. Mine ears hast opened. Burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required. Zevach uamincha lo chafatzta azanaim karita li ola wa chata'a lo shalta. Sacrifice, zebach, and meal offering, mincha, thou, the I, hast no delight in lo chafatzta. Mine ears hast thou opened. Azanaim karita li. Burnt offering and sin offering hast thou, the I, not required, hast thou not asked for. Ola wa chata'a lo shalta. This is to be considered in the light, in the illumination of what Scripture says elsewhere. It says elsewhere in 1 Samuel 15 and 22, hath Yahweh, hath Jehovah, hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of Yahweh, as in obeying the voice of Jehovah. In the words, mine ears hast thou opened, karita, mine ears, azanaim, karita li, karita. The literal meaning of karita is clearly, quote, dug out. The literal meaning of karita is clearly dug out. As in the verse in Exodus 21, verse 33, quote, if a man shall dig, yikre, a pit. If a man shall dig, yikre, a pit. Then said I, lo, look,
I am come with the roll of a book that is prescribed for me, for I. Yea, thy law is in my innermost parts. Az amarti, hine avalti, bia megillata seferra katuva alai, with torateka betok me'ai. Book and law. Book and law refer to what is said of a king, quote, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, he shall write him a copy of this law in a book, and it shall be with him, that he may learn to fear, to reverence, to respect Yahweh Hayo, Jehovah, his Elohim, to keep all these statutes, to do them. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verses 18 to 19, 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 to 19.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.